Hi Abhishek, welcome to the show. In today's session, we would want to understand Farmley's journey. Farmley's journey from origin story, research, idea to execution, people, talent, and much more. Right. So let's get it started with origin story.
Mhm.
So Abhishek, what were you and Akash trying to solve? What is the people's problem that you are trying to solve when you people started Farmley?
Thanks, Kizo. Thanks for having me on the show. First, when we started back in 2017, it was
Okay.
the time when the company got formally registered. Uh,
Farmley.
got registered
Okay.
in 2017.
Right.
So the idea started back on the lines that supply chain on food is a vast problem. We have seen it and we have listened it to a couple of times कि farmers जो उगाते हैं
Mhm.
और जो कंज्यूमर खाते हैं उसके बीच में बहुत बड़ी चेन है ना farmers को उनको पूरा पैसा मिलता है उनके जो ग्रो करते हैं और कंज्यूमर्स को सही क्वालिटी नहीं मिलती है दिस इज
Okay.
द कोर प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट दैट वी एंड आकाश मी एंड आकाश went through and tried to solve it.
Okay.
So the first problem we identified was in the dry fruits and nut space because it's a healthy space, it's a growing space.
Mhm.
We felt there is a large value addition that can be done
Okay.
on both the farmer side and the right quality to the consumer side.
Okay.
This is how the problem statement started. We
Mhm.
started as a B2B company. We started deploying investment heavily on the farmer side, building the food infrastructure, understanding the right quality parameters. All those was done in the first 4 years of the journey.
Okay.
On the back of it, when we felt confident, that now we understand the food infrastructure, now we understand the whole quality of dry fruits and nuts.
Mhm.
That's when Farmley got formally established as a brand in 2021 late, and that's
Okay.
been the journey till now.
How is it different, or what are the differentiators when compared to other D2C food players?
I think main differentiator is our control of the entire supply chain. Like we
Mhm.
control what the farmers are growing, we control which qualities are getting packed in our packets, and we control the entire supply chain, right from growth to the factory, what is getting processed and what is getting delivered to the consumers. So at scale, we can guarantee much more consistent quality compared to any other brand. Second differentiator is in the healthy snacking space.
Okay.
We are the most tasty tasted product in that sense. Like we don't want our consumers to कि आपको अगर हेल्दी खाना है तो आपको टेस्ट से कुछ
Compromise.
कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना पड़ेगा.
Okay.
वो वाला जो कंसेप्ट है वो हम लोगों ने बहुत अच्छे से कैप्चर किया एंड वो सारे ही प्रोडक्ट्स में बीट और रोस्टेड फ्लेवर्ड मखानास बीट और डेट बाइट्स बहुत अच्छे से कैप्चर होता है कि आपका रियल इंग्रेडिएंट्स आपको ड्राई फ्रूट्स के सेंस में मिल रहा है
Mhm.
बट आपको टेस्ट एकदम टॉप नॉच मिल रहा है जो भी आप अनहेल्दी खाते थे उसके कंपैरिजन में. सो दैट
Got it.
प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज वी आर एबल टू सॉल्व तो पीपल रेजोनेटेड quite well. Products are convenient, and because the quality is consistent across, so this gives us an edge as healthy snacking startup to have an edge over the startups.
Got it. Health with taste.
Yeah.
Abhishek, how did the shift happen from B2B to B2C?
So this happened in 2021
Okay.
during COVID time.
Mhm.
We were established as a B2B brand. We were doing a lot of private labels. We used to do supply to Reliance, DMart. We used to do Big Basket private label as well at
Yeah.
that time.
Mhm.
So when we started realizing the shift from unorganized to organized nature in this space, especially after COVID, people were looking for more healthy options. People were wanting to pay premium for much more branded things. That's when we thought of pivoting from a B2B business to a B2C business. And we started in 2021 whole team and the mindset, the culture, everything, we need to shift from a B2B mindset to a B2C mindset. So that took us 6-7 months of, formalizing as a organization on how we are treated as a brand, what are the
Mhm.
softer aspects of brand. So that was a complete, learning point for us as a founders and
Right.
as a core team. We were learning that journey of how to operate as a B2C company rather than a B2B company.
Right.
So that happened in 2021 and 2022. Then Cookcom wave came in. We
Yeah.
rode that wave. So
Wow.
we were one of the very few startups that got onboarded with Blinkit when they were just 50 dark stores. And because of our B2B journey, because we had relationships with all the top retailers, so that gave us an edge. Getting listed on the quick commerce very early on,
Yeah.
and that gave us right amount of visibility to the consumers. That gave us access to large audience which can relate and which were asking for healthy snacking options rather than just compromising with the health angle if they're looking for indulgence. So that all gave us that platform to
Scale.
shift
Yeah.
from a B2B to B2C at a much larger scale compared to
Yeah.
what could have been without quick
Yeah.
commerce.
So Abhishek, other than quick commerce, even your presence as a B2B player in the marketplaces also would have helped you
Yeah,
scale right from the beginning as a B2C
yeah.
brand.
So when we launched our B2C, first platform that we launched was Flipkart Grocery.
Flipkart, yeah.
So obviously a pure marketplace channel, and our focus was for first year we will just understand how the consumer behavior is, because we were learning as a brand how a brand functions. So first year we invested only on Flipkart grocery, and within 12 months of being on the platform we became the category leaders. So that gave us confidence that your people are we are giving something people are liking.
Got it.
We are satisfying, there is a gap in the market which needs to be satisfied. There is some disruption waiting to be happened. That gave us a flywheel to then expand into other channels as well.
Great. So Abhishek, because regarding Flipkart, I remember watching Akash, your co-founder, talking about it in the DSG Capital podcast, right? So Akash, Brian Chesky, co-founder of Airbnb, once said that if you want a company to scale, you'll have to do things that is very difficult to scale, right?
True.
So in your case, Farmley, both of you had tied up with 5,000 plus farmers. There's a lot of groundwork.
Correct.
Do you think that creates a competitive moat?
Yeah, I think in today's fast changing ecosystem,
Right.
ideas win over executions. Okay.
Right.
If you are not executing, what are you planning? So initial hypothesis, initial ideas, they don't win over processes. You have to be obsessed about am I proving my hypothesis in the most unscalable way possible, but am I proving my hypothesis rightly or not? Once you prove the hypothesis, then there is a 1 to 10 scale journey. But in 0 to 1, if you don't prove your hypothesis by doing unscalable things, you'll never have that right conviction, okay, if this is working or not. So initial 0 to 1 journey is all about doing unscalable things, being on the ground, understanding what the pain point of the consumer is, understanding what your team wants. Everything has to be done in a very unscalable way. Once you have your conviction and hypothesis right, then you think about process designs, processes, team structuring, building, all those aspects. But the 0 to 1 journey has to be all about you getting convinced that this problem is right that I've identified, and the hypothesis is right in that sense.
Great. So Abhishek, before we get into idea to execution phase, wanted to understand a little bit about your story, your story and Akash, as to how did you meet up? Both are from IITs. If you could just throw some light on that.
Yeah, so I'm IIT 2016 batch. He's IIT 2014 batch.
Okay.
We happen to be flatmates in Delhi.
Okay.
So we had a good 6 months living before we could finally.
So that was your first marriage.
Right. Okay. So as me and Akash always say, this partnership is more than marriage for us. We have spent more time with each other than our actual partners. So absolutely, that's how we met. We had our seniors from both the IITs doing some startup. Because of that, I happen to be his flatmate, and as young founders, we keep discussing what is happening, we think that we can build, and eventually we got lucky and started this.
Great. Abhishek, once you're talking about co-founders, what are the critical parameters that people should look for when they're trying to find a co-founder? What do you think is important? These are non-negotiables when you look for in a co-founder.
I think business sustainability is all about finding the right partner. You just have to be super careful before you decide who is like in marriage. You decide your partners. You take your time. You do all the things before you just finalize it, because it's going to be a 10, 20, 30, 40 year journey. You don't know how it, because businesses don't last just because you exit. Businesses last because as founders, how you established your org in that sense. So I think complementary skill set, people say a lot, but again, it's more on the lines how your interpersonal communication and your value alignments are. So for example, both me and Akash wanted to do something which created impact on ground. Wow. So are your core fundamental values aligned? I think that's one. Second is the complementary nature of risk-taking abilities, for example. Both can't be on the same side of risk-taking abilities.
One is a little bit conservative, one has
to be in that sense, so that the boat keeps running no matter what the disruptions you create. So I think that's one thing that has worked in our favor at least. And third is it comes out to be the core fundamental values again, like how much you can trust each other, how much your family values are aligned, all those parts,
and all of it.
Like more. If that part is covered, rest thing that we have realized that it gets covered in the journey. So you both tend to follow on each other's paths. You know what my capabilities and incapabilities are. You know my perfections and imperfections, and then you. Because you want to stay together, you figure out things. But if your core fundamental values are not aligned, then you will get somewhere, you'll get stuck.
There'll be
with the
friction
journey.
around. Again, Abhishek, once you had the idea, how did you go about, the next step? What is the kind of research that you people did? How did you go about executing once you had the idea?
So I think idea was simple कि farmers के पास एक अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है अपना गुड सेल करने की.
Right.
फार्मर्स अगर कुछ प्रोसेसिंग खुद से कर लेंगे तो ज़्यादा पैसा कमा सकते हैं. कंज्यूमर्स को एक अच्छा क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट चाहिए. वहाँ पर जितने कम इंटरमीडियरीज होंगे उतना ट्रांसपेरेंसी होगी, उतना बेटर होगा. तो बहुत सिंपल प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. एंड बिकॉज फूड है तो स्केल का इशू नहीं है, मार्केट का इशू नहीं है. देयर इज अ vast opportunity that you can capture upon.
True.
Now the market research is that you go talk to your stakeholders. आप फार्मर्स से बात करो, उनका मेन इशू क्या है, फार्मर्स के साथ जाके रहो, 6 महीने वहाँ पे टाइम स्पेंड करो. जस्ट डोंट आस्क क्वेश्चंस ओनली. उसको मार्केट रिसर्च नहीं बोलते. आप जाओ, रहो, उनकी डेली की दिनचर्या क्या है, वो लोग जब अपना मटेरियल उगाते हैं तो किससे लोन लेते हैं, कैसे सोचते हैं उसके बारे में, बेचने जाते हैं तो किसको बेचते हैं, किससे लोन लेते हैं, वो सब चीजें कैसे होती है. सो टू लिव विद देम टू अंडरस्टैंड द पेन पॉइंट. यू जस्ट कांट हैव अ सर्वे ऑफ 10 क्वेश्चंस एंड से किया मार्केट सर्वे हुआ है नहीं हुआ है. यू गो टू मिडिलमैन की मिडिलमैन आप आज की डेट में क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहा है, व्हाई आर दे रिलाइंग ऑन मिडिलमैन, एंड देन इवेंचुअली होलसेलर्स, रिटेलर्स, कंज्यूमर्स को आज की डेट में क्या प्रॉब्लम फेस हो रही है जब वो ओपन मार्केट से होलसेल में ले रहे हैं वर्सेस एक ब्रांड ले रहे हैं. जब ब्रांड लेते हैं तो उनकी क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं किसी ब्रांड से, जब इस कैटेगरी में कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स खरीद रहे हैं. तो दैट्स हाउ द होल market research thing happened, and we got more convinced that this problem is much more than what we thought of, and it requires a great level of execution, great level of infrastructure building before we can just jump into a brand building thing. That's where the whole first 4 years of journey of building, understanding the quality, building the infrastructure. We have 5 processing facilities very close to farms. We have a facility in Bihar for processing all the makhanas. We work with 5,000 farmers there. We have a factory in Sangli for raisins, in Mangalore for cashews. So very close to farmlands, understanding the products. And then, as I told you, that brand came in much later compared to the problem statement that we started with.
So at this stage, Abhishek, what do you see to be one of the common mistakes that most of the co-founders make during this phase? Without naming any co-founders or companies, what is the avoidable mistakes that people typically make at this stage?
I think especially in D2C space, last 3-4 years that we have been seeing and meeting founders, I think one is the healthy snacking in general is perceived as a fad, and small fads are taking as a shape of idea. Okay. In food, what main thing is that you can't get in and get out. It's not a 4-5 year journey that you can get in, you scale up, you sell it to someone and get out. It's a 10-12 year journey minimum if you want to be at least small successful or something like that. It's a 10-12 year journey. So if you are not convinced, and if you are not more bullish about what you're solving, and if you're just following a fad of, say, this is what healthy, say, US is eating, we can copy that here, we can start selling it, that's not going to work. Though food in general, you have to be really sure about why are you getting into it, and what are you solving, and it's a long term game. It's minimum, as I told you, 10-12 साल से नीचे कुछ होता ही नहीं है food के अंदर. If you see any food startup that has been successful in India, it requires minimum 10-12 years of journey. So I think वो conviction build करना food में, and because margins tight होते हैं, the kind of execution rigor that is required in this segment is far more than any other segments in D2C space, especially food. So I think वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा founders जल्दी कर जाते हैं कि because scale slow आता है, थोड़े margins tight होते हैं, people tend to overdo things because of scale, because of growth fast चाहिए, तो will compromise on marketing, will compromise on discountings, those kinds of things. I think that's where we felt कि इनिशियल 100 CR ARR का एक प्रेशर रहता है फाउंडर्स के दिमाग में, एंड क्योंकि वो 3 साल में करना है, क्योंकि वो 2 साल में करना है, you tend to overdo things which requires and which can happen only over time.
You also maybe do deep discounting, try to go
right, and that's a bend, and that's something when we say in D2C sense, you die with the margins you live. So I think because of that pressure of growth, and because there's a noise on social media कि कौन कितना fast grow कर रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, this is not the space for it. Food requires patience, and brand takes time to build. It's not you just spend and you get out of it.
Interesting. So you're telling play the long-term game, cut the noise in the market, just focus on whatever you intend to do. That helps.
Yeah.
So also, Abhishek, if I were to start up right now in the food D2C food space, I have an idea, for example, maybe in the health space or so on and so forth. What are the steps that you suggest I do one after another in the first 6 months?
So I think first is core market research. I think you should get into space because if you are getting into an FMCG or food, look at spaces which have a larger market share rather than very niches.
Larger
But
market
at least
TAM should be
TAM should be good enough. And
Okay.
because it's India, because it's a large market, TAMs are not much of a problem if you're not
Yeah.
going into very small niches.
extremely
But
small niche. Yeah.
हाँ अगर वो नहीं जा रहे हो तो आई थिंक टाइम का इशू इंडियन मार्केट में आता नहीं है उस तरीके से if you're going to FMCG or food space.
Right.
सेकेंड गुड पार्ट विथ फूड स्पेसेस कि आप बहुत छोटे हुक के साथ भी यू कैन विन द वॉर.
Okay.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल बहुत सारे कोला ड्रिंक्स ने सिर्फ फ्लेवर का एक हुक पकड़ के दे हैव वॉन द वॉर.
Got it.
सो फूड के अंदर द गुड पार्ट इज कि यू जस्ट ट्राई टू पिक अ हुक, ट्राई टू विन दैट हुक, वेरी स्मॉल हुक, एंड बिकॉज दैट हुक विल गिव यू अ डिसेंट स्केल यू कैन गेट कन्विंस्ड कि यार मैंने एक मार्केट विन किया है. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ डूइंग लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स
Yeah.
कैन आई आइडेंटिफाई द हुक. That hook can be a problem statement of that category in the consumer's mind.
Okay.
For example, similar things. यार मैं एक कैटेगरी के अंदर 3 ही फ्लेवर खाता आया हूँ आज तक, बट मुझे ये फ्लेवर उस कैटेगरी में पसंद है, बट ये इस कैटेगरी के साथ भी जा सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वेरी स्मॉल थिंग लाइक दैट. सो बिकॉज फूड के अंदर बहुत सारे नुआंसेज हैं, जोग्राफिकल नुआंसेज हैं, यू कैन पिक दैट हुक, ट्राई टू विन दैट हुक, choosing your right channel, choosing your, in that sense.
Absolutely.
Once you win that hook, then you can start expanding your categories. कि यार मेरे को category expand करना है. I know my consumers. उस तरीके से you can start building it slowly.
Yeah.
But look for a good large TAM and look for that hook. मतलब what is the problem in certain categories that you can solve.
Okay.
And it has not, it should not be revolutionary, but बहुत you just need to be with the consumers, understand किस category में बहुत nuance problem
the
क्या है.
cream and onion flavor in Lay's is used across categories now and so on and so forth.
Right.
Okay, so one is that part. Then what do we do next after that? Research, you identify a small part that you can change.
Right.
Then what else?
Then just figure out your product development. How can you do it with good manufacturing partners? Or
If I don't have any background in the FMCG space, how do I go find out potential?
You can find everything online as of now. You can look for good manufacturing partners in your localities. Sit with them, try to figure out formulations with them.
Okay.
Keep on doing a lot of tasting with your consumers, whether people liking the taste or not, and try to figure out the best product market fit that you can give to a consumer, which is solving that problem. Not obsessing over it, but can I have a decent product which is solving the problem in that category? You start with that.
Okay.
Then you do the aesthetics of the product, saying here, भले product जैसा भी है, I'm keep on improving it as I go along with the consumers.
Okay.
But is it aesthetically good? Like ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि कोई बहुत food के अंदर इंडिया में क्या है ना, पूरा trust पे चलता है. If the consumer feel कि बहुत किसी छोटी कंपनी का product है, they will eventually lose trust कि यार I don't know कि इसने ढंग से अपने ingredients use किए भी नहीं किए, जो back of pack पे लिखा है वो सही भी है या नहीं है. So once it looks aesthetically good, वहां से वो कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड होता है कि यार इनकी पैकेजिंग कितनी सही है. तो फिर it should look like a product of a big company rather than a small company. So once you do that, then figure out one good channel for you. Don't go all out on 5-6 channels. Figure out one channel. It can be your website, it can be your commerce, it can be a small retail cluster. Figure out one channel for that, and then see how are the throughputs, are consumers liking the product, what is my price point, what are the gross margins I'm making. Once you clear that trajectory of one channel, one territory, 2 or 3 crore products, then you expand, and then you gain the confidence in the consumer's mind. Okay, I'm knowing this brand for this thing now. And once you establish that in consumer's mind, okay, I know this brand for XYZ thing, then you can double down on it. Saying, okay, I'm winning this, and then eventually scale.
It's very useful, Abhishek. So, Abhishek, what percentage of sales comes from your own website when it comes to the overall sales?
And in general, in food startups, we don't see website as sales channel. For us, it's more of a medium of communicating with consumers.
Okay.
If you want to launch something, then we launch it on the website for all the feedbacks with the consumers.
Okay.
So website are for the hard loyalist consumers, where you want to interact with them, understand how the products are moving, how are they perceiving the brand, is there a change in the products that they have tasted a year back or something like that. So it's more on the consumer understanding front. It's not a sales channel. It hardly contributes less than 1% if you
Got
say
it.
for
Okay.
that sales,
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
more on the lines of a direct communication with the consumers.
Abhishek, what is the overall annual numbers right now, and what is the employee count?
So we are a 500 crore plus brand now.
500 crores in 4 years. Huh?
So brand got established, yeah, I think 2020 were late, so you can say 4 years now. So
Okay.
500 crore plus, we are a strong team of 300 people now across.
These are your core employees.
This is our all.
And are all the when you started up, was it outsourced completely in terms of manufacturing, or it was in-house?
So we started with the outsourcing, obviously, but we soon realized that in food, the problem statement that we are getting into it won't get solved through outsourcing. मतलब जिस लोगों के साथ हम काम करते थे, जितना हम इंफ्रा उनका डेवलप करवा सकते थे, फिर जब फूड है क्योंकि because the supply driven market, so suppliers will always have the upper hand on where to give the supplies.
True.
So then we pivoted to the in-house. After I think initial 1.5-2 years, we tried doing with outsourcing because you tend to be asset light, and it's a good model if you think around. But the problem statement that we're getting into, it was not getting solved through that. So we eventually moved to. So as of now, 100% of our products are manufactured in-house.
Wow.
Everything, the whole supply chain is under our control. We see what we are packing and we manufacture what we pack. So
super.
That's how.
So Abhishek, now from outsourcing, you're moving into in-house, which means you would have required capital. Now from here, let's move into the funding part, right? Funding section. So how did you start up? When you both started up, was it completely bootstrapped, or you had initial seed funding?
So initial 2 years was largely bootstrapped. We raised some from family and friends, very small amount, but majorly bootstrapped. We raised our first round in 2019 with Omnivore Institute coming in. This was a pre-series A. And it was the first time we made a formal business plan from the idea. It was a whole new journey altogether of how to put your ideas into Excel and create a business plan. So that's how when we raised the first round, and with that round only we moved into an in-house manufacturing and sourcing of that sort. But because we were doing a good B2B business, there was a good cash flow coming in, because B2B business gives you cash flows. So because you had a good cash flow coming in the first 2 years, you can use that cash flow in building the infrastructures and all those things.
Who were the early investors who came in?
Omnivore and Institute, they were the first partners to join in this journey.
Okay. So also Abhishek, so when you both started up, as you mentioned, bootstrapped, and then you got in some funds from family and friends. What do you think? So I was saying, I go back to the same question. I want to start up right now. Now you explained to me that I'll have to go step by step. At least for the first 2 years, till I get the first round of investment from an external investor. What is the minimum funds that I should plan for to sustain the business for 2 years?
I think there's no right or perfect answer for this. I think it depends on how founders run the company and how frugal you are, and that defines your journey as a brand and as an organization on how frugally you can run the initial years. And that defines a large part of your success later on.
Absolutely.
So it can be, you can start with 25 lakhs of capital, you can do a lot of experiments, you can pivot a lot of times, and then you can eventually land where you want to be in say 18-20 months. But for all our audiences, and we speak to a lot of founders, young founders, I think more clarity should be, if this startup doesn't give me personal income for 3 years, am I sustainable or not? Can I sustain my family / personal everything frugally? But can I maintain that if that is secured for 3 years, I think you're good to go. You will manage things if you're convinced on the idea, if you are convinced that you are here to build something, and you have 3 years of leeway. It requires patience, and once you are into it, and because you want to do it passionately, you'll figure out things.
This is also very clear, Abhishek. Then if I have one more co-founder, two of us are sure that we'll be able to manage it for next 3 years without getting any salary, and maybe both of us have a 25 lakh each capital. I think that will be good to go to. And
you can start off. Obviously, there'll be here and there, but you're
absolutely
good to start off and figure out things at least.
How did you approach the scaling from 0 to 1? You had mentioned saying that you had started, and fortunately, quick commerce had also started then, and you got in there. But what are the other steps that you had taken during the 0 to 1 phase?
0 to 1 phase is your product formulations. Key, what is the product? How are you figuring out the ingredients? Where are the ingredients coming from? Are the ingredients right quality? Are you checking each batch your own? Are you ensuring that customers are getting the right service,
Okay.
right delivery? So zero to one is all about making the right product and and ensuring it reaches to the consumers at the best feasible way.
Got it.
However you can do it,
Okay.
by doing everything on ground, by packing each stuff your own,
Okay.
whatever you can do.
Hmm.
Zero to one journey is all about that.
Okay.
You do unscalable things, you figure out things, but it has to look like from an outside perspective that everything is perfect in house because it's getting delivered to the consumer in the best way possible.
Yeah, and they are
So
going to evaluate your
they are
product.
going to evaluate. So they should not feel it's a small company, so they'll tend to miss 10 mistakes, all those things. So
Got it.
zero to one journey is all about that. And zero to one journey also requires your key team deployment. Like,
Okay.
how are you building your team?
Mhm.
Those early 10 to 20 people are going to shape up your organization. So you have to be really, really careful on how you are choosing them, and you will be short of capital, of course.
Yeah.
So people won't come to you for money. So
Mhm.
the idea should excite them, the vision
Yeah.
should excite them, the possibility of what you can eventually become, that should excite them like anything.
Yeah.
So the initial 10, 20 people, they'll be your family, they'll be your guardrails, they will be your guards for the company for the next 10, 20 years
Yeah.
or so. I think that's more of zero to one journey for us.
And how was the journey? How did it change when you moved from 1 to 10?
So once you are established, you have proved your hypothesis that this is working now.
Right.
Now it's all about scaling up. It's all about rigor on process designs, rigor on processes, rigor on quality checks, rigor on all the financial metrics. So for example, in the 1 to 10 journey, finance becomes a really important, which we tend to miss out in the 0 to 1 journey. But 1 to 10, the finance controls, how is the finance overlooking all the other department, that becomes a really key role in 1 to 10. And then eventually getting the more experienced people in the team, getting the right processes set, and ensuring that all the escalations and everything gets solved through process instead of some manual intervention. So how much that can be solved through processes, that's more of your process design part. Okay,
Got it.
you don't solve each problem, but how can you inculcate all the problems in buckets and make a process design out of it. That's 1 to 10 journey. And then again, part of growing your team from 10 to 200. So again, we keep highlighting it a lot of time, but it's your team in FMCG, in startup ecosystem. It's your team which is going to win for you.
Absolutely.
In the market. That will be a very, very key differentiator. People ask us what is your USP, how are you performing so well at scale, everything like that. So team comes at the first forefront of it. If they can defend you at all times,
Yeah.
you are eventually going to win the war.
So Abhishek, before getting into the team and talent part, one more question is, if you look back, what are the few marketing moves, big or small, that had moved, that has resulted in moving the needle for Farmley?
So I think first campaign of Raul Rabbit, when we announced that Farmley as a dry fruits and nuts brand getting out in the market. So that campaign worked really well for us. That established us as a
Credibility
brand.
also again.
Yeah,
with
and
the
the
talent being there.
alignment of Raul Dravid as a trust, and because the food, having the trust angle,
Rub off on
that rub off came really well.
True.
Second is the commerce wave. We got out to the consumers at a large scale. People started knowing the brand. People started. We got the access at a very low cost. So that gave us a right visibility.
True.
And third is the social media amplification. So last 2 years has always have been, how do we create micro contents, how do we get our messaging out in terms of what Farmley stands for, what are the products, what is the emotional communication that we are going out. I think these three moves now have established Farmley as the most loved healthy snacking brand.
Got it. So moving to talent, Abhishek, you had mentioned just a minute ago that you had family and friends also joining you. For the external talent, how did you go about it? How did you go about recruiting them? And I'm talking about the core 10 to 12 employees that you're talking about.
So
How did
they
you
are
convince
largely
them?
your referrals. Matlab you
Okay.
tend to speak to your friends, families, which can give you confidence about people, and then eventually you have a set of people, and then you have to convince them to come on board, because it's
Got it.
not the money you can ask them to come for. As I told you, idea should excite them, the possibility of how big this can become if
True,
executed properly,
Okay.
how big then it becomes, it should excite them. But first few hires is all about, good referrals, your IT backgrounds, all those things comes into a large picture uh, to getting the right hires in the first 10 20.
And were they willing to join even at a lower package than what they were?
They have first 10 12 people in largely in startup ecosystem, they come at a pay cut
Long-term
off,
bet, and
in long
they
term
take
bet,
a
pay cut off.
long-term
Really,
bet.
they are taking bet on the ESOPs part, like
Yeah, yeah.
if that equity gets converted to a long term, so that's the bet people are taking.
Margins part, Abhishek, when margins are really tight, what are the non-negotiables at your end?
So that's the most pain point of food startups. So
Yeah.
margins will always be tight.
They're significantly higher in the case of non-foods.
In
the
non-food,
foods,
yeah.
there
So
is
if you
a
go
tight,
to beauty and personal care, if you go
yeah,
to all other sectors, the margins are really tight in food, and it's because if you are in a healthy food space, you are using the real ingredients. You're not compromising on ingredients. You're not using synthetics. If you're using real ingredients that are going to cost you more,
yeah,
and there is only much leeway of how much premium you can charge with the consumer. So the margins
yeah,
will always be tight. So when margins are tight, I think the non-negotiables are the discountings. You can't use discounting as a method of attracting consumers.
yeah.
So it has to be people has to value you at your price
That
points.
can't be your growth strategy.
That can't be a growth strategy.
True.
And all the other contribution matrices. So you have to be really tight on, if you're doing a future investment, saying ki, okay, I'm doing this investment because I want to attract consumers and all those things.
Yeah.
The clarity of how much future investments you're doing, and the clarity of which matrices I should track,
Okay.
seeing that this future investment should eventually come as a part of that metrics that we have believed in investing upon. So you will not get a lot of opportunities to do forward investments. You have to be really careful on how do you do it, and then obviously executing it, like the rigor required in execution,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's the key. Yeah.
that's the key in food. You can't
True.
lose money on the, say, wastage part. You can't lose money on the products are not stored well.
Yeah.
So
Damages, expiry,
that's,
a
yeah,
lot
right.
of
So
that,
if you give any leeway there, so the kind of losses that you can bump up in the food segment, it's just unimaginable.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can eat
got
your
it.
margins like anything.
So damages, expiry, RTVs, all of it, right?
Yeah.
All of
So
it. Okay, got it. So Abhishek, moving to the vision, where do you see a Farmley in the next 10 to 15 years?
So I think we are now getting established as the most loved healthy snacking brand in the country, and eventually taking it global. And the eventual aim is to, how can we take it out from the mind of consumers as a healthy snacking. So in India, snacking is a habit, and how can we make it as a norm that snacking has to be healthy. Uh, you can't just be eating anything anytime. So how can we make it as a part of norm that snacking has to be healthy, and eventually become the largest food brand of the country, not just the healthy snacking food brand.
Wow,
So that's
that's
how we are
big.
looking at
That's
this
really
space.
big. Wish you both all the best. Abhishek, moving from here to personal systems and leadership, when it comes to organizing ideas, thoughts, insights, wherever you get it from, how do you store them? Any tools, any easy ways to do that?
Very three simple tools: diary, pen, your own WhatsApp chat, and your notes of your phone. I think key is that that those thoughts, whatever insights you're getting, it should be accessible to you at all times.
Okay.
Whenever you are confused on making a large decision, you go back to them. You know your journey. We have been in the journey for 8 years now. So I have all these scribbled notes very close to me, all the diaries and all the things. So you should just understand what worked for you at that time. How did you decide on all the tough decisions? Once you have that all the learnings insight very close to you, you tend to make some mental models on how do you make decisions. So very simple, these three things can solve that.
Any mental models that you use, Abhishek, at work?
So I think when we go to some large decision making, so which can eventually turn the tide for us. So I think one mental model is what worst can happen, and are you protected for the worst?
Inversion, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. So if things don't work out, are we still surviving?
yeah,
So I think if that gives you a comfort, okay,
yeah,
if we are going all out on this, even if this doesn't work out, are we surviving?
yeah.
That is one mental model. And second is, if the risk is worth taking. Like, if you're taking that risk, are we eventually reaching to what we set
intended
out
to,
for?
yeah, okay,
So if
okay.
that is getting solved, that start giving you some ideas on how we can decide on whatever we are
Yeah,
stuck in.
that's a brilliant one, Abhishek, because uh, Warren Buffett talks about inversion as a mental model, wherein uh, instead of knowing what will help you succeed, at least avoid the things that will help you fail.
Yeah.
So avoid them. I think you are
Yeah.
almost on the right
on that
journey.
side. So
Yeah.
once you are protected your downside,
Right.
then the upside should be good enough to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
that risk, whatever it is there.
For all managers and more so for co-founders, prioritization is important. How do you prioritize things at work especially?
देखो स्टार्टअप्स में आग तो हमेशा लगी होती है, आप चार कोनों में जाओगे चार आग लगी होती है. सो आई
True.
थिंक वन मॉडल दैट वी यूज इज की फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी इज कंज्यूमर्स की. ऐसी जहाँ आग लगी है जहाँ पे कंज्यूमर्स को प्रोडक्ट सही नहीं मिल रहा या फिर कंज्यूमर्स को सही शेप में नहीं पहुंच रहा, सही क्वालिटी नहीं पहुंच रहा, दैट हैज टू बी सॉल्व फर्स्ट. सो कंज्यूमर फॉरवर्ड थिंकिंग, वॉट एवर इज गेटिंग stuck at that end, you solve that part first. Second is the business. So second business P&L pay, whatever is taking a larger
Impacting,
hit,
okay.
impacting, that you solve. And third is your team. Anything is that is impacting your team, their stress levels, and then you solve that part. So that's how you tend to prioritize things. But yeah, you have to choose your battles. You can't be winning all the battles all day. But yeah, in startups and you're scaling up like crazy, you'll see gaps all across and you just can't go.
Interesting.
Each gap.
Customers, P&L, employees. You're mentioning about employee stress and so on and so forth, Abhishek. How do you handle your stress? Work-life balance there and personal sustainability, right? On your own, you need to sustain for long.
Correct.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
I think we had a good long debate of work-life balance for the last 4-5 साल में. I think after COVID, this debate has taken a good amount of traction in all social medias. जिस तरीके से हम सोचते हैं, मतलब जैसे I come from a business background, तो कभी भी उस मेंटल मॉडल में गए नहीं कि काम और लाइफ कुछ अलग अलग चीज़ें. मतलब आई हैव सीन माय फादर्स और अंकल्स, अगर आज घर में शादी भी है और आज 4 भाई हैं तो 2 भाई दुकान खोलते ही हैं. अब और वो कभी भी उसका मोटिवेशन पैसे से नहीं आता कि मेरा पैसे में छूट जाएगा. इट्स जस्ट हाउ वर्क एथिक्स हैव बीन इन इंडिया. तो कभी भी माइंड में काम और लाइफ को जितना कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग रखेंगे, आई थिंक आज के इकोसिस्टम में इट वोंट वर्क. मतलब इट विल ऑलवेज क्वेश्चन कि यार आज प्रायोरिटी क्या है, मैं क्या सॉल्व करूं. मैं अगर टाइम को ज़्यादा टाइम दे रहा हूं तो मैं पर्सनल कैसे सॉल्व करूं. ऑब्वियसली देयर विल बी सम डेज वेयर यू प्रायोरिटाइज थिंग्स, बट मोर वी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट दिस वर्क एंड लाइफ, more we are going to get confused. मतलब in my sense, at least whatever I have seen in my childhood days with my family situations with, so I don't think we should, how much we can make it work together. So for example, आज भी हमारी जो core team है, for example 10-12 लोग हैं, उन सब की families are like next family to me. मतलब my spouse and their spouses are more close to each other than we as team. So how can you make
that
work as a part of your life instead of it's a work and life? So I think that should solve for that part.
What did IIT teach both of you, other than the subjects obviously, teach both you and Akash that helps you run Farmley?
I think 3 key things. I think when we look back, what is it that we got out of IIT, other than our lectures and learnings. One is very large potential realization of potential of people. I think we tend to underestimate this, that people grow, evolve, and their potential to do things if given right opportunities, that's really immense. मतलब the kind of things that people can do without realizing themselves. So I think very long term view on people and people management, I think that part, I think IT has given us a good the people that we have seen in first year, how they tend to grow in fourth year, and how they tend to grow after college. That potential and the kind of journey people see, I think that's very immense. Second is the relationships. I think as you scale, you tend to leverage a lot of things. I can leverage my suppliers, I can leverage all those things, but I think relationships, especially IT रुड़की में तो बहुत, it's very testament, like जो जितने भी हमारे alumnus हैं, alma mater हैं, the kind of relationship that we share with them, and people मतलब बहुत out of the way जाके आपकी help करना, बहुत out of the way जाके
you see that happening,
and then you just see that happening, and it becomes a flywheel. So someone has done it for me, then it becomes a responsibility for them also. Absolutely. And that makes it easier for the founder's life, because if you have the right connections on your plate, if you have the right people who have done a lot of things themselves, so learning from them. So I think maintaining that relationship part and everything, I think that's very key thing that we learned. And how can we maintain it for a longer period of time.
Got it. Got it.
I think maybe the third is on the confidence side, because it has given us a lot of exposure,
Yeah.
and we tend to do a lot of things, just not study there. So it gives us more of like, how can we handle a lot of things at the same time. So I think that
Got it.
capability.
Okay. And one last question, Abhishek. For anyone who's graduating, post-graduating right now, for all students, what are the few skills that you think they should develop before they get into the market?
Okay. I think one is like, the kind of dynamic things that are happening with AI and all those sort of thing.
Okay.
One thing that we should learn, and we at our level also, is how do we unlearn the learn? Like whatever we have learned till now, what is the speed that we can unlearn that, and are we ready to learn everything
Something
from
new.
scratch?
Got it.
And because the learning capabilities have increased so much, so the only gap is how can you unlearn the last thing that you have learned. So you can learn things fast, but how can you unlearn the last thing?
Extremely
I think
critical.
that will be extremely critical.
Okay.
Second is the data part. I think that is how can you read data, how can you interpret data, how can you make data more viable, feasible for you to read and interpret. I think that is very good skill set to have in.
Okay.
Very generic skill set, but comes very handy all along.
Okay.
I think that is second. Third is ability to get things done. You talk to a lot of things, you do a lot of things, but are you doing what is required to get things done at the end of the day? You can't be just not convinced or not doing things yourself.
Okay.
So
AI unlearning things and learning new things quickly, and then data interpretation, and then the final part of execution, getting that right. I think
execution, right?
we should focus on these things. Okay. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.